Lackland, England, autumn 1940. A fighter plane roared menacingly over the farmhouse just as Tori bent to blow out the candles on her birthday cake. She froze. She would never get used to destructive flying machines. But she could pretend to be brave. She drew a deep breath and blew. The 17 candles for her years were easily extinguished, but the one added for luck flickered persistently before guttering out. She hoped that wasn't an omen. Her friends around the table applauded. Those who'd come from 1804 with Tori were enjoying the 20th century birthday customs. The 5 of them would return to their own time in the morning. She was glad to be heading home, but she'd miss her 20th century friends. "Did you make a wish?" Polly asked. The youngest Rainford, she belonged to this house and this time. Though she was still weak from a bout with blood poisoning that had almost killed her, her mischievous smile had returned. "Indeed I did," Tori replied, "and it was hard to decide what to wish for." Her life had changed so much since she turned 16 a year ago. Then she had been the well-brought-up Lady Victoria Mansfield, youngest child of the Earl of Mansfield. Most of her thoughts had been turned toward her upcoming presentation to society, where she would look for the best possible husband. In the year since, she had become a mageling, an exile, and one of Merlin's irregulars, sworn to use her magic to protect Britain, not to mention being a traveller through time and an unsung heroine of Britain. Best of all, she had fallen in love. Her gaze drifted to the young man who sat at her right, looking impossibly handsome. Justin Falkirk, Marquis of Allard, and her beloved. He gave her a smile full of the warmth and intimacy that had grown between them in the last months. "Time to cut the cake." Lady Cynthia Stanton, who was Tori's roommate back at Lackland Abbey, was eyeing the dessert hungrily. "Mrs. R., if I come back for my birthday, will you make me a cake like this?" "I will," Anne Rainford, their hostess, said cheerfully. "But give me some warning, please. This cake required almost a month's worth of our sugar rations. I'll need to save more coupons to create another cake this size. You won't want to take another beastly trip through the mirror just for a cake, Cynthia." Tori got to her feet so she could cut properly. "But you can have the first piece of this one." The round cake had a thin layer of white icing, and "Happy Birthday, Tori" was spelt out in rather uneven red letters. The same red icing had been used to draw little red rockets exploding around the edges. Tori could have done without the explosions, but Polly had been pleased with herself for coming up with the idea. After all, war had drawn together this group of magelings from 2 different eras and forged lasting friendships. Mrs. Rainford was sitting on Tori's left, and she held out a small plate to receive the first slice. "Here you are, Cynthia," Tori said, as she set the wedge of dark fruit cake on the plate. Mrs. Rainford handed it across the table. "I'm going to have trouble waiting until everyone is served," Cynthia exclaimed. "I still haven't recovered from burning so much magic in France." "As the birthday girl, I give you permission to eat now rather than wait for the rest of us," Tori said grandly. "We all need to eat to build up our strength for the return journey through the mirror." Cynthia didn't hesitate to dig in her fork. After the first bite, she smiled blissfully. "This is wonderful, Mrs. R. If I didn't hate travelling through the mirror so much, I really would come back for my birthday. I'd even bring sugar so you could make the cake without using up your rations."
"That's not a bad idea," Nick Rainford exclaimed. "Sending sugar, I mean. How hard would it be for you to throw sugar through the mirror?"
"We could do that," Elspeth replied. "Our sugar comes in big loaves that have to be broken into smaller pieces, but they'd throw very nicely."
"Tea and butter and bacon and all kinds of other things also rationed," Nick said thoughtfully. "If you could send them through the mirror, we could—"
"I will not have a black market operation run from my house," Mrs. Rainford said firmly. She handed another plate of cake to Rebecca Vyse, who was staying with the Rainfords to study magic. "But some sugar now and then would be nice."
"We could arrange that," Allard said as he clasped Tori's hand under the table. She could feel his amusement. She bit her lip, thinking how much she would miss this freedom to be together when they returned to Lackland Abbey. Male and female students were strictly separated in the Abbey. Only in the labyrinth, the maze of tunnels below the Abbey buildings, could they work together as they secretly studied magic. And only there could she and Allard have the privacy they craved.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.